Welcome back. You tuned into Mid Morning Talk with me, your host Mariam Mia, and now we're moving on to discussion about water filtration and purification. As mentioned in my introduction, South Africa is one of the few countries globally where we get to drink tap water, and really, wherever we are, we open the tap and we can consume safe drinking water. However, over the years, there's been much debate regarding the quality of our tap water, as well as the fact is some people who testify to that drinking of the tap water is actually affecting their health and have now uh, gone the route of purified water or oxygenated water. And it's so I'd like to know, I'd like to find out more. Is this actually the case? How safe is our drinking water? And if they are, do we require additional purification and filtration before it's safe to drink? So today I'm joined on the line by, I'm joined by on a live Mr. Hans van Kamp, and he's an expert in water filtration and purification. Together with his wife, they are the owners of East Midlands Water Company, and they have extensive knowledge in terms of complete solutions, everything from filtration and purification of borehole to tap, as well as online monitoring according to legal requirements. So let me welcome Mr. Hans van Kamp.
Hello, Mia. How are you doing?
Uh, Doing well in yourself, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure. It's interesting to be invited to talk about water purification on a radio show, but thank you for inviting me. Doing well.
Uh, so tell us, how safe is our tap drinking water currently? South Africa, that is something we were proud of over many, many years. I mean, you open the tap and you drink water. I didn't even realize that this is not a global practice until I first traveled overseas, I think early 90s. And I saw that water is only good for cleaning and that, but not for human consumption. And then when I went the first time to the UK, I had always looked at the UK as a benchmark to everything first world, cutting edge technology. And then I saw you could not drink the tap water. And then I realized we actually privileged and blessed in South Africa that we get to drink tap water. So over the years, we've heard much speculation and debates in terms of the quality of our drinking water, and it can actually affect our health. So currently, in your expert opinion, how safe is it to drink tap water?
The problem is you cannot generalize because it so depends on where you live in South Africa. The water quality is not the same everywhere. And that is one of the main issues. So to make general statements is simply not correct because it really depends on who is your provider. Some municipalities do a really good job and other municipalities fail completely. So therefore you cannot generalize. However, I'm Dutch, and in the Netherlands we stopped chlorinating our water since 1974. And here the water is still chlorinated. So that's one thing you can generalize. The water is chlorinated. Now, that's good and bad. It's good because we rather have chlorine than cholera. However, chlorine is proven to be carcinogenic. And to remove it is very easy with a carbon filter. So wherever you are, you can just remove the chlorine before consumption with a carbon filter. That is something you can generalize.
So, how do we go about finding out in our area the quality of the water? Do we have to get an expert in to test the water quality in our area, or is there something like, you get those tablets that you could put and then test the quality of your water? How easy or how difficult it is to actually test the water in one's locality?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The best way is to actually have it tested by a water lab. However, if you read your newspapers, your local newspapers, and you talk with people around you, you quite soon find out how good your water actually is. For instance, in Cape Town, the water is still quite good. The TDS, total dissolved solids, is quite low. It doesn't have solids. It's not contaminated with feces or anything else. But if you go to rural areas, people know that the water is bad usually. But people that have bad water know it, um, and that is. But would you mind if I raise another issue? It's the drought. That is at the moment. It was a big problem in Cape Town, and it's a serious problem now in PE. So you don't only have quality issues, you also have quantity issues in South Africa. People are simply running out of water. And the reason for that is not only the drought, it's also, well, in Cape Town, 25 years ago, there was 2.4 million people. Now it's 4.2 million people. So it's the growth of the population. And therefore the demand keeps on rising. So we have a complex issue in South Africa that's not just solved by simple measures.
Okay, and then I want to ask you what contributes to the actual taste of water, because I'm here in Gauteng, in the northern suburbs of Gauteng, and I don't know, maybe over the years my palate has acquired the taste of the water in this area. But when I go to another province, be it Eastern Cape, Western Cape, KZN, the water tastes different, and then I always switch to purified water to drink for the duration that I'm away from home. And when I come back here, it's the taste I'm used to.
Yes.
So what contributes to the different taste? Is just my palate, or
No,
are
it's
there
not just
different
that.
distinctions in the water taste as you go from one province to another?
Well, now I have to become a little bit scientific. Um, you talk about water quality guidelines, SANS 241. That
Mm-hmm.
is the maximum allowed, what's in the water. And they've got allowable and maximum allowable. Now, if you look into that, if you can compare it with a bag of marbles, you would buy a bag of white marbles, but there are two marbles allowed of a different color, or four or 10. Well, the water quality guidelines is in a bag of 100 marbles, you're allowed to have 25 marbles of a different color. And that is the problem. The guidelines are so wide that you can have a wide range of different qualities of water still falling within the water quality guidelines. Total hardness, for instance, there's no guideline. It's not even mentioned in the guideline because it only looks at human health. And you cannot drink too much calcium in your water. There's more calcium in the milk that you put into your tea, but it does affect the taste of the water. TDS, total dissolved solids or salts, is allowed to be 1,200 milligrams. Well, that's 1.2 gram in a liter. If you take a liter of bottled water and you put in 1.2 grams of salt, you don't like the water anymore because it tastes completely different. Yet it is still officially within the guidelines of what is deemed to be acceptable in South Africa. Therefore, the water tastes different everywhere because water within the guidelines can vary vastly.
So there's no definite standard because, as you say, the threshold is quite vast, and you can sort of, or municipalities can then take and suit whatever they want from that threshold. So basically, you at the mercy of your municipality, to speak, in terms of your water quality and taste.
Yes, they lowered the standard, always compared with math standards for matric. If not enough people get their math, then what do? Improve the quality of teaching or lower the standard? Well, in South Africa, they lowered the standard. If you compare the water quality standards in South Africa with the World Health Organization standards, there's a huge difference. TDS, for instance, according to the World Health Organization, should have a maximum of 450. In South Africa, it's 1,200, almost triple. So that is the problem. They keep on lowering the standard so that more and more municipalities can stick to the standard. They lowered the standard so that more municipalities can get blue drop status. That is the solution here. But it's not a solution.
No, it's then really going to affect our health, and that is why now I'm just sitting and thinking, because maybe you have many unexplained symptoms for your poor health, and it could very well be the water you're drinking from the tap that is contributing to your ill health?
Well, the problem is actually not municipalities that are supplying water within those standards. It's the municipalities that cannot provide that, even that quality, that lower quality, and there are quite a few of those. And that is the problem. Yeah. So even with the lower standards, some municipalities are not even capable of sticking to those.
Okay, and then it comes down, everybody would definitely, I mean, you have the option to get additional purification and filtration of the water, but then it comes down to cost. What is the most cost effective way of, maybe then, like you say, for the chlorine, the carbon filter, but if you want your water to have that additional filtration or purification process, which would be the most cost effective way to go in terms of that? Maybe put additional purification on your tap, or is the solution purchasing water? For me, the thing with buying of bottled water is the environmental impact of those bottles actually coming into our atmosphere, and that is why when I do buy them, I try and recycle the 5 liter bottles and bring it back home, and that because for me that landfill in terms of especially those 500 ml bottles and less, that is a problem environmentally. So which is the best win-win situation in terms of getting good quality water, but at the same time lowering your carbon footprint, or being mindful and conscious of your environmental impact in terms of the bottled or plastic bottle?
Yeah. Well, if you do a small calculation on how much water you actually buy, um, you will find out that what you easily spend more on bottled water than what a water purification system costs. The problem is a purifier you need to buy at once, where the bottled water is just a little bit of money every week. And that is what people don't realize, is how much money they actually spend on bottled water. Now, the two different systems that are in the market are mainly carbon filtration, that literally clean the water of solids and remove chlorine. And then you've got under sink reverse osmosis systems that also remove salts and everything else. Now, the choice between those two systems is really on where you stay. Is it just a taste issue of chlorine, and is the rest of the water fine? Or are there additional issues with your water? And then you need a reverse osmosis. Yeah, and that is actually both of these systems. Reverse osmosis is more expensive than just a carbon filter, but both of these systems make sense in the long run, because you will save on your life cost in the long run. Yeah.
In your health costs. So, from what you've said, I think the first port of call is wherever your locality is, it's worth it to invest in terms of having your water tested, because based on those results, that will inform you and guide you in terms of what type of filtration system would be viable, and well, what you'd necessitate in terms of the whether you need a simple um, carbon filter, or you need the osmosis for a filter. So I think if you want to invest, first invest in testing quality of water. And roughly, can you tell us what is the cost of having water tested in your locality? Is it a huge cost?
Well, what I always tell people, if you want to have a proper test done, that's 1,000 rand, which is a lot of money. If you just want to know your TDS of your water and whether there's chlorine, well, there will be chlorine in the water, just go to a pool shop. They usually test water for free, and they can tell you what the TDS is of your water. But usually people know more or less what the quality of their area is, because it's front page news if it's bad. And people know, like the areas where we sell reverse osmosis systems, everybody knows the water is bad because people talk. So if you don't know any, yeah, and you can taste it. If you taste like, I don't want to say nasty things, but if it really tastes bad, then the water isn't good. It's very simple.
Hans,
Yeah,
I'm going to stop you there. Can we just go for a short break and we'll be back? And then I've just got one or two questions and then we can round up.
perfect. See you
Thank
just
you,
now.
Hans. Thank you, Hans. We're going to go for a short break and then we're going to resume with this fascinating, informative, and educational topic of water filtration, purification, and the quality of our drinking water.
My Lord, show me right from wrong.
Huda SA is an organization that focuses primarily on assisting communities within the eThekwini region by collaborating with existing Islamic centers, mosques, and madrasas. Your contribution goes towards the uplifting of orphans and vulnerable children, including vulnerable families, by assisting with education, welfare, nutrition, and maintenance of madrasas, mosques, and Islamic community centers. Make the difference. Donate to our noble causes. More information is available at huda-int.org or WhatsApp or call us on 031 271 3049.
My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
In South Africa, countless numbers of sick patients leave their homes at the crack of dawn to join long queues at clinics and public hospitals, many of them suffering pangs of hunger in addition to the symptoms of disease. The Al Imdad Foundation's Slice for Life teams deliver sandwiches to these patients at more than 40 hospitals and clinics across the country. Help us to keep on relieving hunger. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Mid Morning Talk with me, your host Mariam Mia, only on Salam Media, and we are having an informative discussion with Hans van Kamp, and he is the owner of East Midlands Water Company, and they are experts in providing complete solutions from borehole to tap, as well as online monitoring according to all legal requirements. Welcome back, Hans.
Pleasure. Nice to see you.
Thanks for joining us again. Before the break, we spoke about the type of water filtration system that one could look into, and you said it's very much dependent on water quality, and testing water would cost around about 1,000 rand. But like you say, if the water quality is poor in the area, it probably will. There'll be numerous articles in your local community newspaper. You'd hear about it, and that will inform you in terms of what type of purification. But tell me something. You get those purifying jugs that you have, and it has a carbon filter and things like that. How effective are those type of filtration vessels?
That's a good question. I have a lot of discussions like that at trade shows with customers. I gladly don't do those anymore, but carbon works on contact time. And contact time means the time that the water is in direct contact with the carbon, because carbon needs time to adsorb, not absorb, adsorb the chlorine out of the water. So those small little things that you screw directly on your tap are absolutely useless, because the water rushes through it. It doesn't have the time to absorb the chlorine properly. A jug is slightly better, yet a jug is also not that big. The best is to go for the biggest carbon filter you can find, volume. So the more carbon, the better. And then have a small tap that doesn't rush that fast, and a side tap, so that you don't have the full flow rate. Those are the best carbon filters. And then another thing is it needs to be coconut shell carbon. That is the best carbon for chlorine. So, because not all carbon is the same. I mean, if you look around, people that have a koi pond also buy carbon, but that's usually coal-based or based on other substances. Coconut shell is the best for chlorine removal. So volume matters, flow rate matters, and quality of the carbon matters.
Yes, thank you for that. I was not even aware of the type of carbon. You've just informed and educated myself as well as all the listeners in terms of the type of carbon, because I was gifted once a bottle, and in there was about 3 or 4 cubes of carbon cubes, and you fill water, and then the whole day you're okay in terms of it extracting, and then you needed to change it every 3 months. Yeah, I had it because it was better than just drinking tap water. So I figured, you know what harm could it do? But like you say, before you go for anything, rather do your homework, make an informed decision, and rather invest in something that is going to produce proven results.
Yep, that's right. And there's so many stories in the filtration market. It makes me.
That's the thing.
mad.
How do you make an informed decision?
The problem is, how do you make an informed decision if you don't know really about water purification? Because there's so many stories in the market. Our filters remove metals from the water. Well, in most places there are no metals from the water. It's like telling someone it will remove hitchhikers from the water. There are no hitchhikers. Really, you need to boil it down to keep it simple. Carbon makes sense because it removes chlorine from the water. So everything else is a perk. It's nice to add calcium to the water, but it dissolves so quickly. And if you drink milk and you eat normally, do you know how much water you need to drink to get your minerals from water? Like hundreds of liters a day. You don't get fed by drinking water. You get fed by eating an apple and bread and food. So there's so many stories. I've heard them all, and it makes me mad.
I can hear that in your voice, because I was looking at this 100 rand, 1,000 rand in terms of testing your water, and I've just, I always think, in terms of making a plan to get a cost effective. And what if I get 10 of my neighbors or good friends to club together and all give 100 rand, and we test one person's water? Will it then be the same for everybody? Maybe 5 houses this way and 5 that. Can that be done?
Yeah. Well, the reason why I said you can have the water tested, but the problem is you're going to get a water test, and most likely most people will not understand it, because you get all kinds of things in there that you don't even know what the guidelines are. And even if they show you the guidelines, which most test people do, you get the SUNS guidelines that are so wide. Remember the 25 red marbles in a bag of 100, that you might assume, oh, my water is perfect. But if you don't compare it to guidelines like the World Health Organization guidelines, then you still don't know where you're at. Like, I provide water purification systems for hospitals, and they say, we need to do everything according to the law. And then I test their water that we need to purify, and the TDS is like 900. And says, well, it's according to the law. And it says, but it tastes horrible. Yes, because it's not according to what World Health Organization standards. And you're used to a TDS of 80. It says, but why? This is 10 times as much. It says, exactly. So let's purify the water to the standard that you're used to and that you need. Because they've got expensive equipment to sterilize their knives and you name scalpels. Sorry, not knives. And they get all kinds of spots, and it's just not good. So we did a system for blood bank, and they also came with, it just needs to be within standards. Says, no, your water doesn't need to be within, it needs to be a lot better. So that makes it complicated. But like I said, if you want to know whether your water is chlorinated, take it to a pool shop. They can easily test it. If you want to know your TDS, take it to a pool shop. They can check it. If you want to know your total hardness, these things are usually known what it is. A pool shop can test it, and they usually do it for free.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because to spend 1,000 rand on a document that you most likely will not really understand is a lot of money for what? That's why I said just follow the news, your local newspapers, people that live around you that actually know a little bit. Go to your local university that has some people working there that work with water and ask them their opinion. These people have a professional opinion. Go to more reliable water purification companies. They're difficult to find because usually the water purification companies are an undersink business, are companies that are not really owned by people that have been in the business for very long. And even if they are, they tell you stories to sell their product. That's the problem.
So yeah, so I think you know what, I'm blessed that I have in close proximity two of our universities that engage in research and have good departments and faculties of water and that. And I think maybe we'll just get them on air and speak to them about the quality of the water in this area as well, and doing that. But if anybody feels the water is tasting a lot like chlorine, the most cost-effective way is visit your local pool shop, ask them to test the water, and depending on what those results do, then you can consider a carbon filtration and do your homework. Fortunately, there's lots that you can do research and find, and then call people in and speak to them before investing in a carbon filter. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I didn't realize that there's so much more as well we can talk about on the subject of water purification, filtration, and quality of water. But thank you for your time. In fact, I've learned a lot, especially in terms of the type of carbon, and I will definitely ask them, what carbon are you using? That's going to be my one question. So maybe they'll think, you're talking to somebody who's done their research. So thanks so much for that, because I've learned a lot. And also, like you say, I'll never ask that question about general water quality, because I know now it's very much locality and area dependent. So I've learned a lot. And thank you for your time and joining us here on Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media, Mr. Hans van Kamp.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, sir. We're going to go for a break, and when we get back, we'll be doing our educational insights feature, and I'm going to be speaking to educational psychologist Dr. Ken Resnick. All this after the break.